I just have to share my screen. Yes. Share.
It's soon, in just a second. Once we
Yeah.
get everybody in here, then we will share the screen. All right, welcome everybody to one of our sponsor webinars for the Women in Publishing Summit. I'm Alexa Bigwarf. I host the Women in Publishing Summit. I'm also the CEO and founder of Write, Publish, Sell, and I have 3 publishing houses. So in the past couple years, as I've shifted my children's book company, Purple Butterfly Press, from print on demand into a traditional model, I started to learn all kinds of things about printers. And let me tell you, there is a lot to learn. I'm not sure how I came across Lori at MCRL. Did you find us through the conference?
I think I just noticed your Instagram handle, I think, and reached out to you. I messaged you, I think, like a year ago, year and a half
There you
ago.
go. So anybody who's wondering if you should be on social media, yes, you should totally be on social media and make sure your bio says what you do and who you are. So, well, I'm glad that you did because I am always looking for new printer solutions because you need print different types of things for different occasions or printers that can provide different services to you. For example, we had a mistake in a children's picture book, a significant mistake after we had already printed 3,000 copies of it. And they were able to help me out in a major bind and get the book printed with enough copies to save us until we could do a longer print run, had them air freighted to our distributor and really helped save me on that one. And the quality was amazing. So we actually switched from using our other printer to using MCRL for our next children's book after that experience. So I can tell you with our sponsors, I always prefer it if I have used their product or at least seen their product. They have a sample package that they can send you that they sent me with different samples of the types of books we were looking to print. So I can tell you from having worked with them twice now that it's been a wonderful experience. Really good quality. The pricing is competitive. Pricing is all over the place. I think it's important to get different quotes, but there's a lot of things that go into pricing. For example, if you don't mind me taking just a moment to talk about this, because we had a printer in China that was significantly cheaper at face value, but then they added in thousands of dollars in shipping. So by the time I compared the two, um, there
Yeah. It's freezing for me.
Hmm. Yeah, she's frozen.
am I frozen or are y'all frozen? Okay, here we
Oh,
go.
you're good now.
Yes, you were frozen.
I'm
You're
going
good now.
to get off camera and let y'all do your thing. So thank you so much. And thank you for being a supporter.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that nice intro.
Hmm.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Do I just hit share?
Yes.
All right, I'm using Canva, so just let me present here. How's that look to everyone? Okay.
Phenomenal.
Yes, I can see it. It looks wonderful.
Okay, super. So welcome to Understanding Book Printing, a Beginner's Guide. Taylor and I are very happy to be here and happy to meet you. Thank you, Alexa, for inviting us to speak. I will be your host today. I am the marketing quarterback for MCRL Overseas Group. And as Alexa mentioned, we are a Canadian-based offset printer of all genres of books. So we do art books, children's books, board books, yearbooks, cookbooks, coffee table books, all kinds of books. We do custom planners and journals, custom packaging, affirmation cards, board games, name it, we can print it. And at the end of the presentation, I'll go into a little bit more detail about our capabilities capabilities. But for right now, I thought I'll just introduce you to Taylor, who is my sidekick here today. And Taylor, a huge thank you to you. So originally, Carol Potter was supposed to be joining me today, and Carol's our VP of print production. She's a guru when it comes to printing, but she had a family
Yes, yes.
emergency. So Taylor, thank you so much for jumping in. I really, really appreciate your help. And maybe you can tell the ladies a little bit about your role with MCRL.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I've been with MCRL for a little under a year now. So basically what I do is I will be your main point of contact. So when you're just starting out, when you want to idealize what you want, you'll contact me or my other coworker. So my job is to basically make your ideas come to life in print.
Awesome. And so you guys probably know the deal here, but if not, I will provide a link, and I think Alexa will provide the link too at the end of this presentation with our slides and the video recording, so you don't need to scurry and write a whole bunch of stuff down. But you can write your questions down or pop your questions into chat, and then Alexa will feed us those questions at the end of the presentation. So what we're going to cover, we're going to start off with the basics. So what you need in order to get your files packaged up for your printer. And admittedly, this probably is not the fun part of the most fun part of the whole self-publishing journey. I'm sure it's a lot more fun to write and illustrate than it is to print. But if you know the basics, and the basics start with good formatting, and if you follow Taylor's 7 points here, it really can be a very smooth and positive experience getting your book printed. So I'm going to start with the basics, and Taylor will kind of provide some of her checkpoints. And then Taylor's going to walk us through some of the common mistakes that we see people make and how you can avoid those mistakes and save yourself some time, money, and tears. And then at the end, I will wrap things up with giving you a bit of an idea of, at least from our perspective, how long it takes to offset print a book with us, and an example, an idea of the cost of printing a hardcover book with us. So I'm guessing you're on this webinar because you're in one of these 4 stages of your self-publishing journal. Maybe you have a story or a vision in your head for a book, and you're just starting to talk it out and write it out and draw it out. And you're wanting to kind of understand early on what the printing process is like. Or maybe you've written your book and you're just starting to format it yourself, or not sure how to format and wondering if it's something that you need to hand off to a professional to handle. Or maybe you've done all of the book formatting, it's ready to go, and you're just trying to make an informed decision on the right printer to go with. Or maybe some of you have already printed books and you've noticed some tweaks or things that you would like to change and are hoping to get some advice from us on this webinar to improve the next run of your print book. So wherever you are in the journey, our goal will be to kind of break out what you need to do in order to present your printer, us or any other printer, with print ready files. And really, as a printer, we do beautiful, beautiful books, but the outcome of your book really depends on the input. So it all starts with really good formatting, and Alexa will agree with this, I'm sure. Having a really well formatted book is critical to producing a bookstore quality book. So we can't stress that enough. And you have 2 choices really when it comes to book formatting. You can choose to do it yourself, or you can have it done for you by a professional. Regardless of the route that you go, these are kind of the high level things that you'll need to be doing in order to get your books formatted properly for your printer. You're going to have to decide on your trim size and work with your printer templates. You're going to have to build out your pages using proper design tools. You're going to have to lay out your text and your artwork, obviously edit, make sure everything is flowing well and there's no spelling or grammar. You have to create your final cover art, prepare your art and text files, and then export your print ready files in PDF format for your printer. So if your eyes are glossing over and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And if you don't have experience doing that, our recommendation is always to hire a professional. The print formatters are trained in typography. They have the Adobe suite of design tools. They, they know the best practices when it comes to printing and laying out your files. So you can save yourself a lot of gray hairs and mental anguish by hiring a professional. And really, you can tell the difference in a book that's been professionally formatted and not. And I think you'll find that the price you pay for hiring a formatter, you'll make up in extra sales of your book. So it's not nearly as expensive as you might think. But if you have the experience, if you are a graphic designer and you do have some print production experience, then all the power to you and go ahead. But from our experience, if you don't, it's a better experience to have someone help you. And we have on our Hire a Pro page on our website, we have a number of book formatters. I'm highlighting Melissa Williams Design and Martin Publishing Services here because Alexa recommended them to us. She has worked with them and they're excellent. And now we've started working with these two ladies and they're in the WIP community and they're awesome. So if you are in the market for a book formatter, you can get their contact information on our website. So I'm going to hand things over to Taylor to kind of walk you through some of the things to keep in mind when you're preparing your files for print. So even if you hire a formatter to do it, you really do need to understand the terminology and to understand best practices so that you can communicate with your printer and with your book formatter. So Taylor will provide you with some of those high level checkpoints.
Oh, Lori, I think you're frozen.
Taylor?
Yes, sorry, you were frozen.
Oh, sorry. We're having some.
No worries.
Did you hear any of my presentation?
I heard the last little tail end of it, but about 30 seconds for now, you were a bit blocked out.
Okay. So I was just saying, whether you go the do it yourself route or you hire a professional, it's good to understand the terminology and some of the basics that you're going to cover in the next section of our webinar.
Absolutely. Okay. So, artwork. InDesign is an industry standard editing software for multi-page documents like books. It's where you bring all the creative elements from Illustrator and Photoshop together. Illustrator is a graphic design and illustration application for creating vector graphics like logos, illustrations, or icons. Photoshop is an app for image editing and photo retouching. InDesign brings the graphics from both of these apps together in one place where each page of your document can be easily laid out and customized as single pages or spreads. InDesign has a feature that easily collects final linked images and font files into a package folder ready for the printer. Even better, and what we actually would prefer, is that instead of sending us a package folder for your files, that the final file be exported from InDesign as a press-ready PDF. This is easily done, and it embeds all the linked graphics from fonts into one compact file with crop marks and bleeds. So, whether you decide to lay out and prepare your artwork files yourself, or hire a designer to do so, the following are the 7 key things to note from a print perspective. Number 1, work to the quoted specifications of your project. Very important. Number 2, have a set of Pantone swatch books handy for reference when selecting your color scheme. Number 3, make sure you know what paper and finishes will be used. Number 4, make sure all your supporting graphics are at the correct resolution at actual size. Number 5, make sure the correct bleed and type safety is accounted for. Number 6, understand the principles of layout and design. Number 7, proofread. So, number 1, work to the quoted specifications of your project. This primarily includes page count, page size, color, and features. Page count is the number of inside pages in your book, not including the covers or end sheets. Page size is the final trim size of the inside pages. A softcover book's cover will be the same finished trim size, but a hardcover's book cover will be about 1/4 of an inch wider and taller overall. Your printer should provide you with the template for your book cover, but you or your designer have to set up the pages to whatever is specified on the quote. Colors. There are 3 color models: RGB, CMYK, and PMS. RGB stands for red, green, blue, and it's used for digital formats like designing a book on screen. It has a very wide color range and is vibrant and bright. CMYK is a standard used in any sort of printing on paper. It stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, or black. It's called process printing and combines the 4 colors to recreate almost any graphics. It's the most cost-effective way to print, but the color range is more limited than RGB. For this reason, there could be times when more specific colors are required. This would be for larger blocks of solid color or brand colors. In these cases, CMYK can either be replaced or added to with PMS printing. PMS stands for Pantone Matching System. It's a universally recognized and standardized system for color matching. Because they are single colors, especially mixed and advanced and not in combination of 4 colors on press, it's much easier to maintain color consistency throughout a print run, in between different pages of the project of the same print run. But it can get expensive, so the number of Pantones used in the project should be limited. Features. Are you incorporating any extra features like foil stamping, spot UV, or deboss? If you haven't quoted your book yet, it's a good idea to do so early on and not once your design is already completed. It's also beneficial to you to find out from your printer what is and isn't doable, or find out if there are any other possibilities you may not have considered. The type of features you want to include will require the file to be saved in a specific way. Number 2, have a set of Pantone swatch books handy for reference when selecting your color scheme. Ideally, the color bridge swatch book for coated and uncoated paper will allow you to select colors based on how they would look when printed as CMYK. The color bridge books show you side by side how the closest 4 color match to specific Pantone colors would look on either coated or uncoated paper. Number 3, make sure you know what paper and finishes will be used. This is important. Colors will look brighter and more vivid on coated paper than on uncoated paper. This is because the ink tends to sit on top of coated papers. They are not absorbed the same way they're on uncoated paper. Coated paper is what is typically used for children's books, either gloss or matte. Uncoated papers are usually used for planners and journals because it's easier to write on them. It resists smudging much better than coated paper. But uncoated papers can be used for pages of any project, and it's sometimes actually a preference over coated paper. Book covers usually have either a gloss or matte lamination as added protection after printing. Matte lamination tends to mute colors just a bit. Number 4, make sure all of your supporting graphics are at the correct resolution at actual size. 300 dpi is the minimum recommended resolution for the best output quality. Print resolution is the level of detail in a printed image. Higher resolution means higher detail and can be measured in dots per inch, DPI, or pixels per inch, PPI. The more dots of ink that are printed per inch or screen pixels per inch, the higher the resolution and quality of the image. As a general rule, you should always look for a higher resolution images at the largest size available. These images can always be scaled down to what you need, but a low resolution image can never be scaled up without losing some of the quality. So when you're sourcing images for print, make sure they are a minimum of 300 dpi at the actual size that it will be used in the book. Number 5, make sure the correct bleed and type safety is accounted for. Bleed must be applied to the background or any other graphics that you want to extend right to the edge of the page. Bleed is the extension of those graphics 1/8 of an inch beyond the trim edges. During trimming, there can be slight movement, usually up to a 1/16 of an inch in any direction. This is unfortunately unavoidable. If bleed was not included, unsightly white lines would appear in different positions throughout the print run on the edges of the pages. When bleed is included, no such white lines appear, and any slight movement would not even be noticed on the final prints. Type safety is the basic clearance within the trim edges of a page to ensure no critical text or graphics are cut off. 1/4 of an inch is usually enough, but sometimes more clearance is needed, depending on the binding of your book. Smythe sewn hardcover or perfect sewn softcover binding usually needs a total of 1/2 an inch at the spine or binding side of each page. Number 6, understand the principles of layout design. Make sure your layout, imagery, fonts, and color are pleasing to the eye and functional, but also communicate your specific message. This is essential to the success of your book. Key messages have to stand out to your audience in the most beautiful way. Text, images, lines, shapes, and white spaces, as well as principles like hierarchy, balance, and alignment guide this process. And number 7, proofread. Once your book layout and design are done, but before you're ready to submit your files to the printer, you need to review your content. It's a good idea to have someone else who hasn't seen it before take a look with a fresh of set eyes. You'd be surprised how many errors can be caught this way. Okay, moving on. What not to do? 4 tips to avoid common book formatting and printing mistakes. Common mistake number 1, using software other than Adobe. These days, there are a lot of programs available to help you design your book. These are cost-effective and have a lot of options. Canva, for instance, is great for ideation, but it may not always be great for prepping files for print. Many of our customers have used Canva and other apps, and we rarely encounter any issues. But we are not familiar with these apps, so if any problems are discovered in your files by our team that need to be fixed, it may not be so easy to do so in the app and could possibly require a complete rebuild, which we would want to avoid. This is rare, but it could happen. This does not mean we recommend you purchase the Adobe suite of software either. It's not so easy to self-train yourself, in other words. If you aren't familiar with the layout and preparing files for print, we strongly recommend working with someone who is. This doesn't mean you have to hire the most expensive designer, especially if you already know exactly what you want. But it does mean finding someone who does have the skill to get your files looking the way you want them in the way that we need them. Okay. Common mistake number 2, not adhering to the principles of layout design. It's so important to make sure your book is easy to read and appeals to your audience. Some common mistakes we see from the do-it-yourselfers include using fonts that are not sized correctly or are hard to read, text and illustrations too close together or they're on top of each other, not leaving enough room on an illustrated page for text and then placing it too close to your margins, and then not leaving enough space between lines, characters, or enough white space around illustrations. Common mistake number 3, expecting printed colors to look like they do on screen. What you see on screen will likely look different in print. If this is a new project for you, you should always print your design at some point during the design phase. The greatest gap in color will be from screen to print. So this is crucial so that you can make any color tweaks early in the design phase. The last thing you want is to send your files to print, get the physical bound proof, and say, well, that color is completely wrong. Printers will only check that your files are print ready and match the quoted specifications. They will not be making any adjustments to color. If you didn't print out a proof while you were designing or refer to Pantone swatch books to choose your color scheme, then the proofing you receive from the printer will be the first time that you're seeing the colors in print, and it's not wrong. That's just the way it looks when printed with that printer. You should not discover that your colors are way off from your vision at this stage of the game. Common mistake number 4, expecting the finished copies to look exactly like the bound proof or to look like a book you've previously printed elsewhere. Although digital printing has come a very long way, the quality is comparable to offset printing. There are still color differences between the two. We print our physical bound proofs from a digital printer that uses toner instead of ink. So even though it utilizes CMYK printing and is calibrated to match our offset presses, there can still be a slight variation in the color. The physical proofs are intended to give you an idea of what the final will look like. We do still use it for matching during the production to do our best to match as close as possible, but it's still impossible to guarantee an exact match. Printing between different print vendors can also result in different colors. This is because different printers have different machinery, papers, and environments that can affect the way the finished colors look. So if you are reprinting your book with a new printer, you should always send them a sample of the book for matching, not just for color, but materials and finishing as well. For any more printing resources, please visit our website. It has a lot on there and it's very informative.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. So probably the question that's on your mind now is, if I want to offset print my book, how much time is that going to take and how much is it going to cost? I can't speak for all offset printers, but I can give you an idea of our timeline and our process, and provide an example of what it would cost to print a hardcover picture book through us compared to POD. So I'll walk you through that. But before I do, just for those of you who may not be familiar with the two types of printing decisions that you have, there's two routes you can go. You can go the POD, which is the print on demand route, which think of Ingram Spark, Kindle Direct Press. Those are digital print on demand printers. Or you can go the offset route, which is what we do, and that's typically done overseas. So I'll just give you we did a whole webinar for Alexa back in March for the Women in Publishing Summit, that we compared the pros and cons of POD and offset. That link will be, I'll give that to you at the end of the presentation, but as a high level for the purposes here, the differences for POD are print on demand. You're printing as your orders come in or as you need your copies. So the minimum order can be as low as 1. It can be great for standard size books and books with pretty standard features, but it is limited for kind of custom add-ons and more custom features are not as available with POD. You tend to pay a little higher price because you're printing fewer. As I went through the cost comparison, as you print more books, even the price doesn't really change very much with POD. But the trade-off is that you do get a faster turnaround, and you can print as low as one copy, which might be just what some of you are looking for. Offset, which is what we do, offset printing, it's bulk printing. So most offset printers have a minimum order of at least 300 units. With offset printing, you can the sky's the limit in terms of what you can do with your book or printed project. We do lots of books with like textures and pop-ups and mirror pages. We've even gotten into doing like snap-in bookmarks and snap-in whiteboard inserts. The sky's the limit in terms of neat, dynamic, interactive features, which is really nice for children's books. That's probably why we do so many children's books, because we can do all of those really cool features. And with offset printing, you're getting a really good price. You're ordering more, but so as the quantity increases, the price per book decreases. But the trade-off is that it does take a little bit longer to produce going the offset route. Here's a quick cost comparison. I grabbed these numbers from our March workshop, so they may have changed a little bit, but it'll give you an idea of what I just described and how the more books you order, the cost goes down with offset versus print on demand. So we looked at an 8x10 hardcover picture book that had 24 pages, had 80-pound paper, 120-point cover, and 4 color ink. And as you can see here, with print on demand, when you print 300 or print 1,000, the price doesn't really vary that much. And the price is a bit lower at the 300 mark than what our price is. Having said that, I'm not sure if that's all in, if shipping and taxes and everything are included, but with the offset route, you can see as you print more, a larger quantity, your price dramatically decreases to the point if you do a print run of 1,000, your price per book is $3.95. And our pricing, we always give an all-in price, so we include the taxes and duties and customs and physical proof and shipping. And to Alexa's point, not all offset printers do that, so it is really important to compare apples to apples and make sure you're looking at the fine print when you're looking at the quotes together, to make sure that everything is factored in. So just to summarize that, so for us, we do an all-in price because we know how important that printing cost is to your profit margin. It drives your retail price. So we don't want you to be unpleasantly surprised with an invoice that you weren't expecting, because I know a lot of your business decisions are based on the cost that you're paying for your printed book. So that's why we do an all-in price. In terms of our timeline, I can't speak for other offset printers, but our elapsed time frame is about 8 to 12 weeks from the approval of your quote. These are kind of the 4 main milestones. So once you place your order with us, you'll send us your print ready files. Carol will look at the file. She'll identify if there's any issues with the files, if any tweaks need to be made. Hopefully, if you follow Taylor's advice, then the files will be perfect and ready to go. And then we will print a physical bound proof for you, and we'll send that out to you. And then you have as long as you need to review that proof, but we do tend to encourage you to take 2 weeks or so to review it and share it with friends and review it again and make sure that there are no spelling mistakes, the formatting looks good, that it's ready to go. And then you can make any tweaks that you need at that stage and then send us the final approved file, and we will queue that up for production. And that takes about 2 weeks. And then we will deliver it to your door. And our quote is based on sea shipment, but we can, as Alexa mentioned, we can split ship your order and send part of it by air and part of it by sea. But if it's by sea, it's about 4 to 8 weeks. So the elapsed time is 8 to 12 weeks from approval of your quote. And this last slide is just an example of some authors that we've printed for. I thought I'd give you you can see the variety of the different types of books that we can do. In the top right corner is a really gorgeous, huge, oversized book that Angelina Donaghy produced. It's called The Blessings Ball, and it's got glitter and texture, and it's really spectacular. In the middle here, Sherry Fink, we did the Little Monster book for her last year, and it was the first time that we used glow-in-the-dark ink, which turned out really cool. And then Ryan, we did a book for him a couple years ago. I think he was 16 at the time. And the proceeds from his book go to fund ocean conservation, ocean cleanup. And then to the left of that is a book by Bill Constant, and he's a wildlife conservationist, and Jane Goodall actually endorsed his book. And then below is Rebecca, and we did 3 runs of her Chirp series board books. So I just thought I'd give you an idea of, show some of the happy faces that have printed some books. If you go to our website, you can see examples of other types of books that we've printed and testimonials and get a better sense of who we are. And yeah, just to kind of do a quick little overview of who we are, since I kind of covered that in the opening slide, but I think these are the sort of the 3 things that we're proud about as a business, and that I'd like to highlight with you. And the first one is, if you print with us, you're going to get an all-in quote. You won't have any surprise invoices, and we do include all of the things I mentioned before: the duties, custom taxes, shipping, physical brand proof. And so important to kind of compare, when you're comparing quotes, to compare those, make sure that the quote you're comparing to ours includes all of those things too. The other point is custom features. We can print anything that you can dream up, and we really do try and reduce our footprint on the earth. We use eco-friendly soya ink only. Our cover board is an Esca board, which is made in the Netherlands, and it's a recyclable board, and it stays flat and lays flat. So it's a eco-friendly board, but it's also excellent quality, and we can do FSC paper as well. And then the third most important point, probably for most of you on the call, is that if you're new to printing, going the overseas offset route might be a little scary for you, because you don't really know what you don't know. So we have Jamie on board, and she handles all of our project management and logistics, and she's phenomenal. She's incredible. She does all the paperwork, all of the customs, all of the coordination with the factory, and she keeps you up to date on where the progress is of your book. So you can talk to Jamie, but you can also reach out and talk to any of us too. We're all very accessible. So you're not dealing with a bot, you're dealing with a human who is handling all your details. So that's my little pat on the back. And then just before we go into the questions, everyone here on this webinar is entitled to $100 off your first print run with us. If you go to this URL, you can download our slides, you can request a quote. And if you do request a quote after you've filled out your specs, just enter Alexa in the comments field and we'll give you $100 off your quote. And then finally, we also have a little giveaway going on right now with our sister company. My Luggy is a custom print-on-demand business that we started in February, where you can custom design a carry-on. You can create a carry-on with your book cover, your book characters. We did one for Alexa back in March, I think it was, with the Women in Publishing branding. Linda Sachs is a children's book author, and she did that cute little carry-on. Laura just printed with us to launch her canine coaching book. And anyway, we have a giveaway going on now. So if you go to myluggy.com, you can enter for a chance to win your own custom carry-on. And then questions.
And I just want to say that anybody who is coming to the conference in Charlotte in 2 weeks, oh my goodness, I'll have my my piece of luggage there so that you can check it out, and they're giving one away to that community as well. So you'll get a chance to enter in for that. Yeah, lots of people are asking for you had some links. The slide, can you put the slide with the links back up, please?
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Don't forget, everybody, use the Q&A box because there's too much stuff happening in the chat to scroll back all the way through there to find out what's going on. Okay, so the first question is from Elizabeth. For a memoir, what about using Atticus to format the book? Do you want me to answer that? Because I know Atticus and InDesign.
I'm not that familiar. Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Okay, so Atticus is a tool that is really great for very simple books. So if you're writing just a normal fiction book that doesn't need anything fancy in it, it's just got the chapter heading and the words, or a memoir, which basically is formatted like a fiction novel, or a nonfiction book that doesn't have any special bells and whistles. If it's just straight text, basically, you can use tools like Atticus and Vellum, and that's fine. We use Vellum for our fiction books, actually. I haven't used Atticus yet, but I bought it, so I'm going to try that out soon. But if you have anything special in your book, any graphics, any images, if you're trying to do a full children's book, full color picture book, if you've got a cookbook, anything like that, unless you are professionally trained, I highly encourage to stay away from Canva, Atticus, any of those types of things, because it's very frustrating. InDesign really is the only tool to use for books of that nature, for specialty books. So that one's done. Do printers partner with, oh, I love this question. Do printers partner with small presses and publishing houses for printing and distribution, or do they work primarily with individuals who are self-publishing? Does it depend on the printer?
I think it probably depends on the printer. We don't get into fulfillment and distribution. I do believe some of the print-on-demand services do offer fulfillment and distribution. I'm not aware of any offset printers that do, but there could be some out there.
So from the perspective of someone who has used it both as an individual author and a publisher, in most cases, if you're working with, it just depends on where you're having the books going. So if you're a self-published author, you might have an Amazon Advantage account and you're shipping all your books to Amazon. I would highly not recommend you to ship 500 books there unless you want 500 sent right back to your house, or 400 or whatever. But there are lots of warehouses and distributors that will work directly with you one-to-one as a self-published author. So I've done it that way. I worked with another company that had a print and they had everything. They were printer, distributor, all those types of things. But as a publisher, same thing. Like I go directly through MCRL or whatever printer we're using. We've used a number of different printers, actually. They just need to know where to ship it to. So if you have a warehouse or if you have they're going to send it wherever you want it to go. I've got a pallet of books in my garage, and I've got 15,000 books in a warehouse in New Hampshire that our distributor uses. So you just tell them where to send it. The printer doesn't care who you are, or what your capacity is. At least not most of them that I've worked with. They just need to know that it can be sent to a place that can accommodate the delivery. Really, I'd say
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing from it. You have to
Yep.
be able to accommodate the delivery.
Yeah, and just on that
Absolutely.
note, Taylor brought this up when we were talking. Our quote is based on one location delivery.
Yes.
And I think it's common with whoever you use, but if it's a residential address that you're having your books delivered to, there might be like a little surcharge of, what is it, Taylor? Like
Tailgating.
tailgating? Um,
It's a
yeah, so,
tailgating fee, or if we need to deliver to a place with no dock, then
mhm,
that would be a different fee. But that is all discussed with Jamie. She would know more about this.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's great that that's included in there. And for me with my distributor, so I know what I was going to say. If you're looking for distributors who will work with independent authors, or if you're a small publisher and you're not getting into the bigger distributors, go to the IBPA website. That's Independent Book Publishers Association. We must bring them up in almost every webinar. And they have a full list under their resources of distributors and printers, and warehouses. So hopefully y'all are on their partner membership page. If not, you should definitely get
Yeah,
on it.
thank you. Yeah,
Um,
I'll look into that.
but they have great resources, and will direct you to all of those places. So if
Mhm.
you're going, if I cannot tell you enough how, okay, so, well, that's such a big conversation. But if the reality is, when you decide to go with a print run, like, it's a big front end investment. It's a big, last year alone, we spent over $20,000 on books to have them printed. So that, now I'm a publisher, so I would not expect that would be you as an individual author with your front run, but anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 on a standard print run, depending on the size of the book, the kind of book, the number of pages, all those types of things will make it up there. And so if you decide, this is why I really like doing the smaller quantities if possible, but price gets higher with smaller quantities, etc. So you have to pretty much know you're going to have to order at least 500 books. So you got to be doing your marketing. You got to be getting out there. You got to be setting up events that you're going to go to, or set up e-commerce on your site, or work with the distributor. Okay. And that's a conversation. Maybe we should have an entire webinar on when it's right for me to do a print run of my book.
Good.
I should actually do a panel between a couple of different printers and distributors, but anyway, that's a side note. Okay. What are the additional steps for printing an interactive board book? Oh goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
For
Wow, good
example,
question.
for a touch and feel book, will there be safety testing? If yes, who does that? Oh, I'm very curious about this one.
Oh, well, we do a lot of board books, and we are fully safety certified. I can get you more information on the details of that, but we are definitely certified, because we do a ton of board books, and we have specific artwork guidelines that we can send to you for board books that you can follow, and templates. Do you have anything else to add, Taylor?
Especially if you're doing like touch and feel added elements, you need to be specific with what you want. Like if you want, like, let's say a grass or a muddy area, you need to be specific with how you want it to be portrayed, and what materials you were looking for, so we can closely match and see if we can offer something that will be the exact same, if not very similar to what you want. That needs to be portrayed kind of right off the bat, so we know what we're looking for and we know how to help you best. That would be another key for me, especially if it's touch and feel.
And that's another great example of things that you can't get printed print on demand. So for anyone who's looking to do those types of books, and cookbooks, y'all, if you're doing a high quality, if you're doing a cookbook, I would highly recommend you never do print on demand. At least not the way print on demand is today. And even with children's picture books, I mean, they've gotten better, but it's still, there's still a difference. All right, what was the name of the oversized book with
Oh,
texture?
the blessing ball.
The
Uh, Angelea Donahue. I can,
Mhm.
I can
Okay.
give you
Uh,
the, yeah.
yeah, if you want to drop that in the chat, that'd be awesome. Catherine, we already answered the questions. They are not a warehouse or distributors, and they will not be shipping books to your customers.
No.
The link for the everybody wants the My Luggy link.
Oh, mylucky.com.
MyLuggy.com. And what was the was there a
You'll see it. The banner
It'll be a
says
banner.
giveaway, so just head there.
Okay. Were the example costs for print on demand versus offset for color
Four
PBs?
color, yeah.
Full color
Yep.
or four color?
Four color, four.
Four. Okay, four color. For the number. Um, okay. Do you own your plant overseas? Where overseas?
We are in China, and we don't own the plant, but we do own we hire people that work for us, that work in the plant and do all of our QA. They do the project management for us. We have such a large volume of print that goes through there that we have staff that are part of our team that we communicate with, that then communicates with the facility.
Yes, we are in direct contact with them with every project. They're very nice to work with.
Something really unpopular right now because I know we all want to support our own country. Of course, we have a global population here, so it's not a terrible thing to print in China from printing perspective. Okay, oh, somebody's gonna like snip that one thing, and I'm gonna like the reality is, as I wanted more than anything in the world to do homegrown American printer on all of our stuff. You know, I want to support our people here, but the reality was it was it was impossible. It was impossible for me to get the pricing except for in one or two certain situations and only for paperback. The moment you get into hardcover books, oh wow. I mean, it was the pricing quotes were, I mean, it was just mind-boggling, $10 difference. And so you have to keep in mind, if your market will bear the costs of printing and where you print. And what I mean by that is if you're distributing, like for me, through a distributor, automatically our books get sold at 50% off the retail price because that's what retailers buy them for, is 50% off. That's the negotiate, sometimes 48%, but that's the negotiated price. So it, whatever, you know, we buy it for, we pay per book. It has to be enough to make a profit when I know it's already going to be 50% off of that, plus distributor fees, plus all those other things. So there's a lot of business that goes into this, and sometimes you have to, you know, go around those things. So that's, I'm just going to say that on that. How long will you offer the $100 off for the first run last?
Oh, good question. I don't think we have an expiry on that, do we, Alexa? I don't
I
think
don't think you did set one up.
so. No. I think use Alexa. If it's like 6 months from now, still put Alexa in there. I will honor it. It's, yeah, you're all part of the community. I know it takes a while to get your files ready, and yeah, Taylor will see all of those quotes, so you'll vouch for me, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, if an author has several children's books, could they print 3 books for a total of 1,000 and have a similar pricing to what you showed? I can say, having just gone through a quote on this, the answer to that is yes. Well, I don't know if it was for different formats of the same book. So they combined a quote for hardcover and paperback. I haven't tried to do a quote that combined different books, but I don't know. Do either of you know that answer?
Taylor,
I
you
would
would know better.
yeah.
So was it for different versions or?
Same book, but
Sorry,
for
I'm a little.
but it was a combined quote for hardcover and paperback, and each of them were lower cost than trying to do them individually, if you know what I mean.
Okay. So we do offer bundled pricing. That is something we can do if you're doing two different versions, like if you're doing a hardcover or soft cover, we do offer bundled pricing, but the pricing will increase just slightly if you decide to unbundle the items. But it's it's totally up to your discretion if you want it bundled or not. It will be lower if you do get the bundled pricing together because we're able to make it less, I guess, less expensive when it's bundled together.
Yeah, even if it's different books, right? So if I were to send you
Yep.
4 children's books, it would be lower cost doing a bulk run of all of those together.
As
Yes.
long as it was 300, at least 300 of
Yeah,
each.
minimum of
book.
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest driving factor on quotes, right? The quantity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your size.
Yeah, and number of pages and
And number of pages and
In a location where it's delivered. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
But no matter
Everything affects the
what,
cost.
no, exactly. No matter what, though, the more you offer, I mean, the more you buy, the smaller the cost gets per unit,
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
regardless of all the other things in there. So, oh yes, okay. Myluggy.com, in case you missed that, Nyanda is the website, right? That's the right
Yep,
URL.
you got it. Yep.
Yep, the next one is on that too, myluggy.com.
Oh, nice.
Is MCRL printer, I'm sorry, is MCRL a print broker? A print broker and offset printing factory. If the former does MCRL vet printing, does MCRL vet printing partners for labor standards? So you're a broker, right? You don't, because you said you don't own the factory.
We don't, but we use the same factory for our printing. We don't own them,
Yes.
but they're a partner we've worked with for over 20 years. They print other books as well as ours, but we have staff that work directly in that factory that report in with us and manage our projects out of that facility.
And didn't I see on your website that they are also a partner in like green printing?
Yeah, we do have we partner with Trees for the Futures. Is that what you mean? So we we try and offset some of of our
Our carbon footprint.
by planting trees through Trees for the Future, and then they plant trees in many impoverished communities around the world. And those trees, actually, trees and plants and building forest gardens and vegetables that those communities then can employ people to manage the forest gardens and feed the community. So it's a really neat organization.
That is cool. Okay, question on journals. Yay. If I have the same inside but want different covers, would I need to do 3 orders, or can the order be 300, do 100 of each cover?
So when it comes to adding different cover versions, we usually do recommend you do at least 1,000 units. So that way you can get, like, depending on how many cover versions, you could do 333 of one, 333 of the other, and then so on and so forth. But if you were deciding to have 300 units as your cap, then we are able to do 3 different versions of your cover. You wouldn't need 3 separate orders. It'd be all in the same one. We would just need to know if it was going to be linen, different, like what artwork would be on it. You would just have to provide us with 3 different PDFs for your artwork for the cover.
The pages are the same.
Yes,
Got
as
it.
long as the insides are the same.
So, I know it can feel a little bit intimidating to submit a quote, but I just want to let you know that their team is really, really good about answering questions. I've been on phone calls with them to ask questions about different things. So if you're worried about that or not sure, and you can also ask quotes I always ask for multiple quotes on the same thing. Like what's this at 1,000? What's this at 1,500, 2,000, whatever it is, 500. And they've always been very good about getting me different things so I can compare and contrast. And of course, if you're worried about putting in a quote, you're not locked in until you actually sign a contract that says we're going forward. So, don't worry about stuff like that. Just ask your questions and get on the phone
We
with
love
an expert.
questions.
And you can actually, if you go to contact us on the website, you can book a call with Taylor directly there. So you can book into Taylor's calendar. And that might be if you don't want to fill out the quote form, you're not sure where to start, you could maybe start by just chatting with Taylor and telling her a little bit about your project, and she can help you complete that form, or at least what information you need to get pulled together.
I saw somebody asking about files for the different covers. And they have templates too. Carol sent me a template for our last book, so that's really good. If you're working with a designer, they can send you a template to give to your designer. Aside from Adobe, what tools would you recommend for proofing interiors formatted in InDesign to see if the file meets printing criteria? Okay, I think what she means is if you're aside from Adobe, what tools would you recommend for proofing interiors formatted in InDesign?
Like printing them out, printing it out.
Yeah, so I'm guessing like I know in InDesign when you export it to Adobe, you do like the print flight or whatever it pre-flight to make sure that it checks all of those things. But I mean, how do you guys, I'm assuming you run some kind of proofing process on the files to make sure that the colors are right and all that kind of stuff. How's that work?
Yeah, well, Carol handles that. She reviews every file in detail, and if there are and then if there are any issues, she'll alert you to those issues. And sometimes we can make the tweaks ourselves if it's minor.
Yes.
I don't know if that's answering the question.
Alexa, if that wasn't the question you were answering, if you could put a follow-on question in there so we can make sure we get your question answered. What DPI would you recommend for original watercolors? Oh,
Ooh.
Do we know that? We might have to ask Carol that.
That might be a Carol question because I know that we just always strictly recommend 300 DPI, but for watercolor, I'm not too sure.
I'll get back to you on that.
because with the watercolor, we actually did a book with watercolors, Princess Monroe. And I know what they did was they scanned all the original paintings, scanned them into images, and then those images went into the InDesign file, and then that turned into a PDF file. So, and the PDF file was still 300 DPI. I think the real thing comes in when you're scanning, maybe, I don't know, but you want to make sure I would scan as high quality as you can on that.
Yes.
Yeah, we have done watercolor books, so I'll
Oh,
Alexa,
great.
I'll ask and get
Yes.
back to you if there's anything else.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. I may have missed this, but how can we go about getting design ideation help, and what does that usually cost?
Oh, well, you guys are the writers, we're the printers. We don't actually do the ideation part of the process. Probably Alexa, do you offer that type of service where you're helping people kind of walk through how to get their thoughts on paper? Would that be a
It depends on if you're talking about like trying to come up with your picture book ideas, or like how you're going to design your book or any of that kind of stuff. I would definitely she put up the slide with Melissa Williams Design, and with
um uh, mis- uh uh
I work with her every day. She's our creative designer for my children's book. Melinda, sorry.
Melinda. Yeah, they're both
Melinda,
M's. Yeah.
I'm blaming it on my health crisis. My brain
I
is
should have known too.
yeah, usually graphic designers, and Tamian's in the audience, maybe she can answer this too, but generally if you want somebody to help you with thinking about how your book is going to look, if you're doing a picture book, you talk to an illustrator or graphic designer or formatter specific to children's picture books, or another graphic designer can help you think through that process. If you need help at trying to figure out what goes in your book, then like author coaches, writing coaches, book coaches, publishing consultants, any of those would normally be more than happy to have that conversation with you. Okay, I don't know if this is printing terminology or a typo. The question from Jenabeth says, so do you hang ran? I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
Where did you
How is
where did
it?
you see this?
Sorry,
Was
how
that
is
in our
this spelled?
presentation?
I don't know. Maybe is that a typo? Sorry,
Gang.
is it gang ran? So do you gang ran? I don't know what that means either.
Hold on.
Like bundling, maybe? I'm not familiar with that term.
Gang run. Almost
Okay.
like bundling.
Huh. Is that
We do
is that a term y'all know?
no idea.
I've never heard that
That's
before.
a new one for me.
I love the publishing industry. I am learning stuff every single day. I'd love to know. So it's like she said, it's like bundling. So that was
Yes.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
Gang run. That just sounds really bad to me.
Doesn't sound nice. No.
No, we do not do that. Okay.
We
Do
do
you need,
bundle.
but we do bundle, yes. Do you need different files for softcover and hardcover? If so, what is the difference?
Ooh, that's a good one.
The cover would be different, I guess.
I guess it would just be your spine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we've submitted files, the interior, okay, so it depends, as long as you make your paperback and your hardcover book the same size. So if the trim size is the same, like let's say it's 8 by 10, your interior file will be exactly the same for both. The only thing that would be different if you have end pages for the cover files. Sometimes those go in the interior file, sometimes they go with the cover file. So again, those are questions that you could ask Carol on what they want, but I'm pretty sure our cover files are different because, especially because of the spine, with the printing on the spine for the hardcover. But yeah, again, they have templates on their website for that, or I'm sorry, if you email them and you're in the quote process, Carol will get you a template for whatever you need. I hope that's what she does for everybody. I'm just not throwing out
No,
services.
she did. That's
No, no, no.
totally right.
Every order.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not special then, but no, that's great. I figured that was for everybody. Yes, they bundle you. Okay, so what she was asking is, even if the books are different sizes, page counts, and content are different, do you still do bundle pricing?
Hmm. We
Stumper.
we do still offer bundle pricing. It's more so different items. So, pardon me. If let's say you want to do a journal, but you also want to include a like an affirmation card deck, we bundle those. Like it's even if it's completely different items, we can bundle those. That isn't a problem. Um, I'm not too sure how much further I could explain that.
That's one of those things I think you just have to put in a quote and see, right?
100%.
The person who's
And
doing.
and that's the thing with what we do is that because we are so completely customizable that your quote will be specifically based off what you provide us with. So be sure to include everything you want because even the smallest aspects can affect cost or change or reduce or increase. That's one of the things I do recommend is that think about what you want and then you submit the quote to us and make sure every aspect you have or you want to see is included in there.
And maybe on that note, if you do use the online form and you're filling out a quote for a book, but you also want to include a journal, just put in the comments section that you've also requested a quote for a book. I mean, we would probably put the two and two together, but not a bad idea just to mention that so we know when we're doing the quote that they can be bundled together. Is that right, Taylor?
Yes, we will if you request it to be bundled, that's fine. We usually you would have to ask if you want it to be bundled, or we give you a bundle cost if you want to include the card decks. We'll make it very, very apparent on the quote that it is a bundled price. So if you want it unbundled, it would be a little bit higher.
All righty. All right, this is a great question. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this happen with people who and Ryan, I'm sorry to pick on you, but you're not the only person. You are not alone in this, I want to say, where they pick a size for a book before they've done the research on who can print that sizing. And then they go to print it. Well, with offset printers, you guys can make
Doesn't
almost any,
matter.
right?
Yeah.
But if you wanted to do it print on demand and you realize, Amazon or any of the other printers, Ingram Spark or whatnot, don't offer this, then you're in a tight
Bit of
spot.
a
So
pickle.
yeah, I made my book 11 by 9 landscape before I knew standard sizes. Would it be
Oh, yeah.
to make
Yeah.
it
And even landscape is tricky with POD, I think.
very
Yes.
tricky? Yeah. So I
Sure.
guess Ryan, the follow-on question is when you say would it be worth my time to make it, do you mean would it be worth it to get an offset print run, or are you saying should you have it? Because there is another option that you can work with the designer to reformat and change it to a sizing if you were still trying to start off through the POD
Standard
channel.
size, yeah.
11 by 8.5 for cost. I'm not sure what that.
Oh, they want a cost for something that would be
He wants
$11.
he wants hardcover and you want to know the cost for an 11 by 8.5?
please feel free to submit a quote. We will happily help you in any way, or book a call with me if you want to learn more, and we should be more than happy to get you a cost.
Yeah, and like I said, you are not alone in this. This is probably one of the biggest issues that I see with children's picture book authors in particular. So don't feel bad. That's why we're doing webinars like this, to try and help people who are in the process before they get too far down the road. Okay. And your pricing, I've always been quoted in US dollars, but I would assume you quote in Canadian for Canadians, or you
Yes.
quote different. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So both. And then I have a children's book, but I'm interested in products like affirmation cards and puzzles. What's the minimum quantity, and do you offer samples?
Yes to samples, and it would be the same minimum, the 300.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can request a sample through the website too. So there's a form there, and just let us know what you're looking for. You can send those out.
I love affirmation cards and puzzles. What a fun idea to
Mhm.
additional revenue streams and products to your book sales as well. Okay, that's the last question in the Q&A box. We've gone a little bit over, so I really appreciate
Of course.
sticking in here until we got all the questions answered. Is there a place, basically just straight on the website, if they have questions, need a quote, want to reach out, any of those things, correct?
Yes, yeah, you can go to that link, and I think you can even book a call with Taylor through this link that's on the screen, or go to mcrlprinting.com. And yeah, fill out a quote for request, or just book a call with Taylor, and we'll walk you through our process and answer any questions that you might have that weren't addressed today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And for everybody's knowledge,
course.
thank you to Shirley, our researcher, who went out and found a definition. Printers use the term gang rung, or gang, to describe the practice of placing many print projects on the same sheet, or piggybacking a project on a vacant, unused portion of a print sheet. Wow.
Ah.
More than one job is on a sheet, usually for small items like business cards, not for a book. I was going to say that sounds
That sounds like a
dangerous. When I was thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna think how you get your books, and half of them have one cover and a different interior, and like, oh my gosh. So that's awesome. Well, we all learned
Learn
we all learned
something.
something.
about gang runs. So this was really great. I appreciate you all so much. Knowledge is power, and learning all of these things and making sure that people are following the right processes makes everybody's lives easier.
Very much so.
So grateful for all of this information and for your support of the Women in Publishing Summit and our community as
Well,
well.
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I learned a lot even just preparing these slides, so it was educational for all of us. So
It is
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
All
It was
right. Well,
great. Hopefully everyone else found it helpful.
yes, and don't forget to go over, y'all, these I should have brought my luggage down here so you could see it, but it's upstairs because I'm packing. Well, I'm pretending like I'm packing already for Charlotte. But
I'll get you the flyer and the link for that too. I'll do that tomorrow.
yeah, they're so fun. So go over there and follow them on social media at My Luggy, because they post all the different ones that they're doing, and they're just so cute and creative. And it doesn't have to be a book cover. It can be
Oh.
anything you want on there, but
Anything you want.
promotion and marketing. So, okay, everybody, I always hate saying goodbye, but it's time to go. So thank you so much. And
Thanks, Alexa.
the recording for this will be up on the Write Publish Sell YouTube channel. Oh, and really quickly, Catherine wants to know, do you print bookmarks, stickers, and business cards?
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yes, yeah, for sure. Bookmarks, we do snap in bookmarks even, which are kind of fun.
Oh, fun.
And yeah, stickers. We'll even do like kitting of like stuffies. We've done books with like a stuffed animal character with the book. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's kind of fun.
Okay, everyone. Well, have a
Okay,
great day,
thank
and
you.
go check out MCRL, and we will see you all at our next event. Thank you. Thanks, ladies.
Awesome. Thanks, Alexa. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.